guys. Hey guys. Hey.
This is not your average podcast, trust me. This is IPSERIES, where you learn to protect and safeguard all your intellectual property so you can make a career of what you love. Join me, Rita Chinda, as we discuss all things intellectual property from the world of fashion, film, media, entertainment, dispute resolution, and even technology. Welcome. Please tell us your name, where you're based.
Okay, my name is Michael Odiong. I'm based in Lagos, Nigeria, and I am currently the CEO of Premier Records Limited, Nigeria's foremost record label with the largest music catalog in Nigeria. So basically, I'm a talent manager, media consultant, and an event person. So I'm an embodiment of the entertainment world altogether. I'm also the member board of trustees for the Music Publishers Association of Nigeria and also a board member of the Record Labels Proprietors Initiative. That is the umbrella body for all record labels in Nigeria, while the Music Publishers Association of Nigeria is the umbrella body for all music publishers in Nigeria. So I'm a board member on both of those organizations.
You have a very interesting profile, and I think your introduction, you said something about having the largest catalog in Nigeria.
Yes. Premier Records started as Philips West Africa Records in 1963.
Okay.
To be precise, March 26, 1963. That was when it was recorded formally as a record label with the CAC. So we would regard ourselves as one of those, if not the first record label ever to be formally registered as a company in Nigeria in 1963. So right from that period, we have been in existence. We have released major artists in Nigeria from 1963. We have the likes of Sir Bobby Benson.
Mm-hmm.
We have the likes of Zilonia, the likes of Stephen Amechi, the likes of Sam Akpabut, the likes of Dr. Victor Laya, the likes of Victor Waifo, the likes of Gentleman Mike Ejiaga, Chief Stephen Osita Osadibe, Raskimono, Alex O, the Mandators, Blackie, Bucci, Benita. It's quite a lot. It's quite a large number.
It's a lot. Oh.
It's quite a large.
Very impressive. Very impressive too.
It's a large one.
Since 1963. So how did you not get into entertainment and media space? Can you just give us a little bit of background so we understand and then we move on?
Okay, so basically I've been in entertainment virtually all my life. Right from when I was a kid, when I was in primary school. I used to act, but internally just for the family. And when I got into secondary school, I also dabbled into some acting. Then when I left secondary school, I started full-time as a professional dancer. That was as far back as 1993. I started as a professional dancer, actor, and I was in that space for almost 10 years. And in 2004, I got into the music business, basically. I became a talent manager for one of the biggest acts in South, Mr. X2, and went on to manage the label he was on, South Central Records. I was there as a general manager until January 2008, when I joined Premier Records as the special projects manager. So from 2008, I've been in Premier Records. Basically, this is my 17th year in Premier Records. So that's my journey so far.
Seriously, if you want to transform your IP knowledge from to aha, come and hang out with us on the IPSERIES podcast. We're here to inspire, to educate, and entertain you on your journey to understanding how intangible asset works. So subscribe today and let's make IP the most interesting conversation. Else, we're gonna have a problem, guys. Please subscribe, okay? I think you're one of the few persons I think that we need to hear your story so we understand how the behind the scenes of African music, Nigerian music has evolved. Which now brings me to my next question. I mean, you joined Premier Record in 2008 and it's been in existence since 1963. Yes. How has the Nigerian music space, entertainment space, the media space evolved from then
So it's been very interesting. We've seen an evolution right from the 1980s, 1990s, an evolution where we moved from the trend of recording live sessions to be able to produce albums to everybody having a studio in their room and parlors to record. That's the greatest evolution that we have seen. We have seen the impact of technology move from the 1970s, where you just have analog recordings, one channel recording, and all that. You had to be very perfect in your craft before you could get recordings done. But right now, all that is not the norm. Everybody can record. All you need to do is just have the basic small instruments or tools, and you have a studio in your room, in your parlor to record. So there has been some tremendous growth, but also we have seen the music industry move from evergreen songs, songs that make meaning, conscious songs, to songs that will now glorify alcoholism, glorify all sorts of negative vices. That seems to be the trend. So you don't have lyrics that is family friendly anymore. You have lyrics that you have to censor because of your children. I'm very sure that most houses right now, most of the parents cannot tune to music channels because they are afraid of what the children would see there. You would see nakedness, you would see alcoholism, you would see smoking. So from that aspect, we have moved from producing quality, entertaining, conscious, family friendly, evergreen music to producing noise, unfriendly vibes. That the only thing you enjoy at the end of the day is just the rhythm, maybe the beat. And the biggest problem is that at the end of the day, all these songs have a very short lifespan. The highest one could just make way for 6 months. After 6 months, you are waiting for the next big thing. Meanwhile, back in the days, you still have songs that were released in the 1960s. If you listen to Taxi Driver, if you marry Taxi Driver, I don't care. If you marry Lady Driver, it doesn't matter. That song was in the 60s.
Yeah.
But people still enjoy it till now.
Nostalgia.
You listen to Joromi, Jomi, Jo Kese, Kese, Joromi. Oh. Those are songs that people still vibe onto 50 years after its release. So they are evergreen songs that surpasses the time of the artist, the era that it was released and all that. But right now, how many songs can you say can stand that test of time? There are songs that you have even forgotten that they were ever played. So that's unfortunately where we are right now. Technology-wise, we have done so well. But content-wise, we have moved from very good to very bad. And we are hoping that we are not going to get to the stage of very worse with what is happening.
I highly doubt that we'll get to that point, but I do agree with you with some of the things you say. My mom has this opinion. She's just like, the song people are listening to nice, your mama is blind, papa is blind, noise, noise, noise. Sometimes when you hear all of this 1960s, 70s, 80s song, you're like, jamming, you're like, old people song, but they're vibing to it, you know? That brings it now brings me to my next question. What role has technology played in relation to digital distribution and also the success of artists?
Okay, so it's quite interesting. Like I said earlier, technology has become a game changer in the business. With technology, a lot has been achieved. I mean, in terms of production, in terms of distribution, in terms of promotion, technology has done a whole lot. Back in the days, you were successful based on the number of vinyls you sold. And how would you be able to distribute those vinyls? You would have people that would physically go to places to distribute those vinyls and let people get the music physically before they could enjoy. But right now, that is not the case. You can sit back in your house, upload your music to a Spotify, to an Apple, to iTunes, upload your music, and the world will hear it right from your living room. You do not need to go and start physically distributing anything. That is how powerful technology has been able to change the whole process of how we are doing things in the music business. You also look at content creation. Like I said earlier, you have studios everywhere now. You don't need to have a full band like back in the days. You have to have a full band for you to be able to record. But right now, just you as the artist, the technology is there. You can produce keyboard, you can produce drum, you can produce all those just with the keyboard and softwares, and you get what you want. In terms of promotion, social media, That is the biggest tool right now for promotion and marketing. You just upload your song on social media, everybody all over the world will get to hear it. So there's been a lot of changes and technology has done a lot. But like we'll always say, there's always the positive side and there's always the negative side. And technology is not exempted. You have the positive sides in terms of the actual work rates and turnaround rates. Something you will spend like 8 hours with technology, you can do in 2 hours. But the downside of that is that at the end of the day, jobs have been lost because session men are no longer needed for recordings because you just need the artist to come in, get the vocals, and technology will do all the rest. So there's actually a vacuum left because session men are no longer needed for live recordings. Then you also have changed the game in terms of sales managers and sales reps that would have been going from one state to another, one local government to another, selling this music physically. But right now, right in your parlor, right in the office, all you need is your laptop and internet for you to be able to sell your music. So those are the areas that technology has made people redundant. But I mean, like we say, there's always an avenue. You will always go to the next big thing. So that's basically how technology has been able to transform the whole sphere of the music industry.
Fantastic, fantastic insight. So now I'm going to touch on a topic that was very controversial, especially last week. And I know that I had read I had read your comments on that, but if you permit me, what would you say are the impacts of streaming platform on artist visibility, especially in light of the Gentle Michael Idiaga's song that Brain Jota had used for his content? I mean, the dance routine has gone viral, and now, like you mentioned, in digital distribution, you now have songs and catalogs on social media platforms. So, in that instance, now, what will be the impacts in relation to both the legal and the practical aspects? We're not talking about infringement, I'm just telling us, okay, life and direct.
Okay, interestingly, that particular album where that song is contained was actually released on the 13th of August 1976. That was when that album where that song is contained was released originally. So basically you can say that song is about 48 years. In fact, next month we'll make that song 48 years old.
Wow.
And it was released under Phonogram Records, which is now Premier Records. When it was released, yes, it made impact and all that, but we have always believed one thing. Like all through last week, what just kept coming to my mind is good products, good media, and perfect combination. A product, no matter how old it is, it will always be discovered by the media. And once it's discovered by the media, you really cannot hold back. So this is the story of Go 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 Go, like everybody know it. It's a song that, just like every other of our products or our works or in the catalog, we make sure that we push them out as much as possible because you can't just have these songs sit there and you do not find ways to exploit it. So in finding ways to exploit these songs, we have put them in different platforms, the DSPs. So you have them on TikTok, you have them on Facebook, you have them on Instagram, you have them on all the DSPs, Spotify, and the rest of them. I always say, if tomorrow songs are being played inside a pen, you will always find our songs there. That is how creative and innovative we are. We don't believe because they are old songs, you have to continue putting them in cassettes and vinyls. You have to find the next place where these songs can be placed so that people can listen to them. So that is what has happened. We have placed the songs there, and good enough, somebody like Brain Jota found the song worthy to use for his content. He could have used any other song. That's the truth. But he did not put the song there. So all the while they were crucifying him, saying he was making money, we had come out to say, no, he's not making any money because we understand how these things work. Somebody put the music there. In this instance, the record label. He went, saw the music, took the music, used it, and it went viral. So he has actually done the record label a big favor. And these songs have been there all the years. So it's not like it's a new song. But here we are. All of a sudden, there's a resurgence of this song, thanks to Brain Jota. And our happiness is that the artist is alive at 94. He is actually going to enjoy his sweat. Maybe they never believed that, oh, it was going to happen. But as a responsible company, we have always made sure that whatever exploitations and whatever royalties that come, they get their shares. So whatever controversy that went on last week, where the first time in my life I was dragged and all that without people knowing the whole
Oh
story.
my God, I can imagine.
It was horrible, but we are a very responsible company, and whatever we do, we want to be very transparent and committed. And we always have our evidences, we have our documentations to show whatever we have done and our relationship to the artists. Whether there was a court matter or not, the court matter was even settled out of court. So it's not like we saw it till the end. No, we settled that, we agreed and settled that out of court. And immediately that matter was settled and all the documentations signed and all that from the court, the only thing we are owing for Michael Jagger is the last quarter of last year's royalty and the first quarter. And people should understand how these things work. We are not in charge of the platforms. It is only when we get reports from the platforms and get payments that we can process all those things. So it's not like it's every month you get the money or every month you get the report. No, it is quarterly. And once it comes, because we have a large catalog, we are not just dealing with one artist. We are dealing with several artists. So we have to take our time to now start shifting the artists, separating them and doing our calculations for each and every artist. So the workload and everything. But at the end of the day, our goal is that the artist must be paid his royalty because that is what we take pride in. The artist made the work. Without the artist, we will not have a record label. Without the artist, we won't have anything to sell and make money. So the artist is usually our priority. Even sometimes we say, oh, look, suspend salary, pay these artists their royalties. Because without them, you will not be able to have salaries. That is how committed we are. So unfortunately, what happened has happened, but it's part of it. So it's a learning process, but people would have to learn to ask questions. They would have to learn to make research before you come out and crucify a brand or crucify the person that is representing the brand. Person that knows nothing about what
I think that's one of
that knows nothing about the whole thing.
I think that's like one of the disadvantages of the digital era. Everyone can stay where they are,
Yes.
type what they want to type, whether they are correct or not. But as
You understand? Abuse you wherever they want to, thinking that you can never get to
oh
them.
my God, so
It's unfortunate.
yeah. But then I like that you had mentioned something about documentation. So I would say I'm still fairly new, even though, like, I mean, we're still growing. I mean, you spent like almost 18 years in the industry. But in terms of documentation, what was it like documenting relationship between artists, producers, every other person that was involved in music production down to this present era? Do you think some persons signed contracts that were bad for them? Do you think there's a way they can get out of that practically? I mean, because when it goes live again, we're going to have what happened last week happening all over again. So, in view of all these things and looking at how the music and entertainment and media space in Nigeria is growing, what would you advise to artists in terms of monetization, contracts, opportunities, getting the
Okay, so the truth of the matter is that the way the business is being done now has totally evolved. It's not like what we used to have in the past. In the past, first and foremost, for the artist, it was just a passion and the love for music. It wasn't about the money. Money was secondary. These artists were performing every weekend. They had shows everywhere. So they had a steady source of income and they had a steady band. So they were already celebrities. So going to meet a record label to record was just like, okay, to make them more popular and then have records being sold as against performance. So for them, it was just the passion, it was the commitment. And the contracts they signed, for them, it wasn't a big deal. But guess what? What they actually signed, as far as I'm concerned, like I said, was like a pension. They actually signed a pension. And I can tell you categorically that, for example, Premier Records, we still pay royalties to estates of artists that passed on in the 70s. They still receive royalties. But what did we do? Contracts signed in the 70s, the percentages, would not be very realistic when you look at it in today's world. Maybe an artist signed 2%, At that time, that money had value. The economy was far better. So 2% was like a 30% of today.
That's correct.
So what we have done is to review such contracts and bring it to modern standard. Whatever is applicable today in the music industry, we are applying such to all of our artists. So it's not restricted to one person. So that's how we have been able to say, okay, let us upgrade this contract. But in today's contract, it's a different ballgame altogether because there are a lot of things involved. The music business is so wide now that you have to take into consideration a lot of things. The dynamics of the business is different. The way the business is being done is different. You have to consider publishing. You have to consider copyright issues. You have to consider production. You have to consider content development and all that. So that makes it a bit complex, the way the business is being done. But for me, I always say as an artist, if you want to start a professional career, the first thing you should do is get a lawyer. Get a lawyer, get a lawyer, get a lawyer, get a lawyer. That is the first step if you want to be successful in this business. When you get a lawyer, then you have solved 50% of your problem. And not just any lawyer, a lawyer that understands intellectual property, a lawyer that understands copyrights. So that way, whatever you are doing, you are legally protected. You are legally knowledgeable and your works are protected. Without the lawyer, you are going to fall into serious problems because a lot of people will come with different offers here and there. And if you are not able to look at the legal implications and understand what you're signing, then you might just be signing off your rights like in perpetuity. So as an artist, get a lawyer. That is the very first step you need to do. Once you get that, you have resolved 50% of your problem. So that is what I think.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Moving on to the next question. What role did record label like yours play in the development of the entertainment and media industry in Nigeria?
Quite an interesting question. I think labels like ours have played a very large role in shaping the entertainment industry in Nigeria. Why do I say so? I'll give you a very good example. Look at Afrobeats that we have today. Everybody is talking about Afrobeat. The world is talking about Afrobeat. The world is in love with Afrobeat. But Afrobeat started somewhere. Where did it start from? Some would argue Fela because of Afrobeat. Some would argue, oh, Plantation Boys and Two-Face and all that. But the truth is, Afrobeat started in the early 1990, between 1991 and 1992, with a group called Junior and Pretty. They had this unique style where they actually rapped in pidgin using contemporary beats. And that time, their style of music was called Afropop because it had a fusion of indigenous beats and language fused into pop. So it was called Afropop. And when Junior and Pretty came out with Bolanle, it was an instant hit because it was a different style altogether that people did not imagine could happen. Rapping in pidgin and all that. But it couldn't be sustained. By the early 2000s, the likes of Remedies, Plantation Boys, and the rest of them, Kenny's basically got those artists within that period and moved to the next style of music. And that was like a whole new batch of Afro-pop. But this time, it became Afrobeat because typical of people outside the country, our music confuses a lot of Europeans outside there. So when they hear it, they don't actually know how to place it because every song should actually have a genre of music. We have the Akpala, we have the Sakara, we have the Juju, we have the Fuji, we have reggae, we have pop, we have gospel, we have high life. But this was a fusion of virtually everything. And the world just decided, okay, it's Afrobeats because it's African beats. So you could see the genesis, but it started somewhere. Without record labels like us, like EMI, like Sony Music, CBS, record labels like Storm, and the rest of them, and then record labels like Question Mark, record labels like Westside, record labels like Kennis came along and then just continued changing the dynamics of music like that. So every record label, given a particular era, played a role in changing the particular style of music that we heard. Every single label that was relevant at a point in time. They all had different approaches to sound and beats and songs and all that. So I would say that, of course, the record labels really did a lot. And because they accepted the kind of sound they were hearing, they put a lot of money, they put a lot of resources to push and then get the people to accept such sounds. So their effort can never be underestimated. Their effort has been tremendous, and kudos to every record label that embraced the risk of actually signing artists with new kinds of flow entirely. It's not an easy thing when you are not sure of something, but you still put in your money there, and some fail, some succeed. That is the business that we are in. It's a very risky business. But you just have to have faith. You have to continue believing that something will come out of it. So that's how it is.
Thank you once again. Another insightful revelation, going back history. I think this is why history should be brought back to our curriculum. But what strategies would you advise artists and content creators to use in terms of monetization, especially in this viral era?
Okay, basically, for the artists, if you're doing business, you would have to work with a DSP. You would have to work with a company that can help you distribute your music. It's difficult trying to distribute alone, but if you have a distribution company trying to distribute, it is easier for you because they carry the workload for you. And then if you have a good music, they can as well just do some marketing spending for you if they love what they hear. So take advantage of all the streaming platforms. Put your music there. Don't say, oh, you would never know. It could take time, but surely, people are listening. Even if it's one person a day that is listening, by the end of the year, you would have gotten 12 persons. And those 12 persons might love it and then share it with another 12 persons. So like that, you just keep on growing. For the content creators, the space is there. You have YouTube, you have TikTok, you have Snapchat. You have those spaces to create. But while creating, create something sensitive, create something meaningful, create something that, people can digest and relate to. Once you are able to do that, a content that people can digest and relate to, it will be easy for people to follow you, for people to buy into your content. Mr. Macaroni is a very good example. Whatever he does is relatable because it is like an everyday thing that we see. So it's easy for people to laugh and also to relate that, yes, these things happen. So make sure that whatever you are doing, they are relatable things that can easily attract the people's attention. So you have all the platforms, like I said, the YouTube is there, TikTok is there, Snapchat is there. Take advantages of all those things. Monetize them. If you cannot monetize them, get somebody that will help you do it. Brain Jotter is making money from there. Macaroni is making money. Macangel is making money. You have lots of content creators. Nasboy. They are taking advantages of all the platforms that are there and creating content that people would love to relate with. So once you do that, I think it will be a win-win situation. Sometimes it's difficult, but you have to be persistent. Consistency matters a lot. Once you're consistent, one day you will hit it. So that's how it is.
Okay, thank you for that wonderful insight. So moving on now, what would you say are the hurdles that creatives face in Nigeria, especially when they are dealing with like copyright issues, infringement, piracy, and lack of infrastructure?
I think that question is very straightforward.
Okay.
It all has to do with policy, enforcement policy. We have policies that should help the ecosystem grow, but are they being enforced? No. Some of the policies are detrimental to the business because they only cater to a very few. Some of the policies that should take care of things like piracy are not being enforced. So as long as we continue to have issues with policy creations and enforcement, we will not go far as an industry. So for me, those are the two major things that we actually need to address. Once we are able to address those issues, every other thing will fall in line.
So how can these policies, or how can policymakers and the industry players and other relevant stakeholders foster growth within the entertainment and media space? Because I've attended a couple of entertainment and media activities, and then you don't find the people, I think you can count the number of creatives that are actually there to listen and engage the stakeholders or policymakers. So what are those factors or tips that we all need to take into consideration to foster growth within the space?
So first and foremost, we have a legislative system where we have little or no representation from the industry. So it will be difficult selling whatever policies we think would work because we are talking to people that do not even understand how the music business ecosystem works. As far as they are concerned, it is just Owambe, it's party. Oh, you pay an artist to come and sing, and that ends there. Not understanding that revenue from this source is as big as the oil revenue. That's the biggest problem we have. So until we start consciously, that's my opinion anyway, electing industry players into the National Assembly, first and foremost, when we get them into the National Assembly, it will be easier to relate with the National Assembly because they are the ones that will call their colleagues and their colleagues will come and we sit down and they will listen to us. Because without that, it is difficult. I mean, I give you a good example. The amended Copyright Act that was just done, I think that was 2 years ago.
It was passed last year, but
It was passed last year, but as of December 2022,
yeah.
we were still deliberating. We even had public hearings where we, as an organization, both RELP and MPAN, actually wrote some things to further help the act be strong. We made some recommendations, and to our surprise, the recommendations we made, by the time the act came out, some of those recommendations were missing. They were missing. So we would now have to start all over again to start lobbying so that these recommendations would be considered in the next amendment. Look at the issue of copyright levy. We have been talking about copyright levy for a long while. Okay, we finally pushed and the copyright levy was passed. But guess what? The sharing formula changed. Now it was supposed to be 60% of those copyright levies to the entertainment industry, while 40% will be retained by the various ministries that facilitate this.
Okay.
And by the time the act came out, we discovered that it was 40% to the industry and 60% to government. Let me just give a background of what the copyright levy is. So basically, the copyright levy is a levy imposed on importers of materials that can carry music or movies or whatever. So materials like your phone, materials like flash drive, materials like laptop, anything that music can be carried on, that movies can be carried on, is seen as an instrument or an equipment that should be taxed. So government agreed to that. It's not a new law. It has always been there. The Copyright Act levy has always been there. But now you tax these people, the proceeds from there, how are you going to share so that the main people, who are the industry people, benefit from it? So we moved from a process where a law was passed and the copyright levy was enacted, but we had a reverse where the industry was taking 40% of the revenue and then government was taking 60%. So now we have to start all over again, lobbying and fighting so that we can reverse the original arrangement of 60% to the industry and 40% to government. So you see that there's been a lot of back and forth, but until we start having industry players in the National Assembly who can talk to their colleagues and make their colleagues understand what government is missing by not paying attention to the industry. If we do not do that, we will continue to have problems because, unfortunately, those in the National Assembly don't understand our business. So it's a long process, but I believe that as we go ahead, we will definitely make an impact and we will get people at the National Assembly to understand how the business works.
Well said, Mr. Michael. I totally agree with you that some comments that were made in regards to the copyright was not included. I think there's going to be an amendment to the IP policy, so maybe we just have to be on the lookout for that and see if the comments will be taken seriously. But then, what are the trends that we need to look out for? I mean, judging by your experience and how your company has evolved from the 1960s up until 2024, what are those trends that you think we should look at within the entertainment and media industry?
The trends we should look at for the entertainment industry?
Yeah.
Well, the fact is that the Gen Zs have taken over, and these people, they know they hear what.
You said the Gen Zs. Oh my God, they're going to have a field day. You're going to have a field day.
The Gen Zs have taken over, and they know they hear what. They are so realistic and so bold and fearless. My only fear is that they should understand exactly what they are fearless and bold about. Because you cannot win every battle. You must be strategic. You must understand what you are fighting for. You must understand what you are gunning for. you must understand the steps you're taking to get things done. You understand? I mean, it's amazing. First, technology wise, this generation, they are so talented. They are so gifted that technology is their playground. You can't joke with that. There's no way you can beat them on that. Technology is their playground. So they have come to stay with technology, and that is the trend. So whatever you're doing, whatever you're trying to build, whatever you are trying to communicate, you must understand the depth at which you are going and the people you are trying to relate with. That's basically it. So it's a Gen Z technological world. That is where we are. That is the trend. We have to embrace it. AI has come to stay. I'm virtually like, I'm almost an old man when it comes to technology and AI, but I appreciate it. But my children, they are embracing it. So it's just about technology. It's about creativity. It's all about innovativeness. But these Gen Z people, they know the hear word. They are just everywhere and they are eager, very eager to succeed.
See, Jency, know they hear what
When I say they know they hear word in a positive way,
okay, then okay.
you know, so they are basically goal getters.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
They don't believe that anything should stand on their way. Whatever they want, they go for it.
Mm.
So that's what I mean by they know they hear word. Once they are
Thank God we
determined,
like-
they are determined, and they want to go for what they believe in.
We are safe then. We are safe then.
So I beg, make them no come drag me again. On positive things I talk. Oh.
Don't worry, you don't clear the roads. Nobody go drag you.
I beg.
Okay, so what case or entertainment disputes really struck a chord with you time within the entertainment media, whether it's 2024 or when you joined Premier Record or any time that you know, from the moment you joined the space, what dispute in relation to artists or other stakeholders have really like, you know, been stuck in here like, okay, this one I need to really watch out for?
Okay, what you're asking is what really struck me in the industry since I joined?
Yeah, in terms of cases like dispute, disagreement between artists, collaborators, etc.
So this is it for me.
Okay.
I have actually never been in the space of litigation and courts and laws and all that. No,
Okay.
that has always not been my forte. I've always been a field man. My own is relate, think of ideas, innovations. How do you get this music out there? How do you relate to the artists? That has always been my forte. So I am basically like still a learner in these case processes and all that. And that is because I took over the company. So once it happens like that, you have to know everything, the cases that have happened and all that. But it wasn't like I set out to be interested in cases. But I can tell you that since I joined Premier, I've had very interesting cases. You know, I've heard about and I've read about very interesting cases. For example, some people will say, oh, why did you take an artist to court? After all, the artist sang the song. And I tell them, look, you have to understand what is in the contract. The first question you would ask is, who owns the copyright? Does the artist own the copyright or the record label? So once you are able to understand that, then you would understand why a label would take an artist to court, even though the artist sang the song. So there are lots of basic understanding of the law that has to do with copyright. There was this case with King Sunny Ade and his record label.
Yeah, I think it's like a legend when we're talking about copyright related cases.
And that court case went on for a very long time. And I think at the end of the day, if my memory serves me right, I think the label won. But what I'm saying is court cases have always been there for copyright infringement.
True.
But it has always been the way we handle them. There's how you can handle a court case and you are still very cordial and friendly with the artists. A case in point is our own. All the artists that we were in court with, we were still very friendly and cordial with them. And that was how we were able to resolve some of these court cases. So basically for me, court cases will always be there. You just have to know these things so that as you go along, you're still going to have a lot of judicial things that will come up. You must be able to understand the law and what the law says about some things for you to be able to make informed decisions as to what to do. So that's it for me.
In summary, you are a man of peace. You do not like problems.
I'm a man of peace, so I don't.
Like war.
No. If you know what's happened to me last week and the effect and trauma I went through, you will know that it's not something I like. I'd rather we settle quietly and peacefully, and everybody goes home happy.
Mm, I can see that. I can see that. So, what would you now advise an upcoming artist on the strategy for getting signed to a record label such as yours? Would you advise that they are independent for a while before getting signed, or do you advise that you just go straight up to being signed to a record label?
That's a very difficult question though, because if you're independent, you will need money to fund your career.
Very
And
important.
if you are not independent, you might fall in trouble.
Mm,
But like I said earlier, as an artist, your first assignment is to get a lawyer, not just a lawyer, an entertainment lawyer. Once you get that, half of your problem is solved, whether as an independent artist or as an artist that wants to be signed to a label. Because even as an independent artist, you could fall into wrong hands, whether distribution wise, whether publishing wise, you fall into wrong hands. As a signee on a label, you could also get the wrong contract. So the first assignment as an artist is get a lawyer. That is the first step.
Second step.
Second step, get a lawyer.
You're repeating like Adibi. Get a lawyer. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
First step, get a lawyer. Second step, get a lawyer. Look, it's simple.
Very important. Yeah.
So this is it. As a musician, you record. You go to the studio, record. Now, in recording, you might be recording a song, and then somebody just say, hey, hey, and it's on that song. Another person comes, say, ha, ha, it's on that song. And then the producer is there. And by the time they put everything together, the song is ready. And you release it. And those two people that said, hey, hey, and ha, ha, they come for you and say, no, you have to pay them royalty because you have infringed on their copyright. They are part owners of that song. We just say, hey, ha, ha, and you cannot deny. You can't say no because they had dropped something on that song. Now you start going into legal cases again, when it would have been something that you would have solved if your lawyer was there and you would have simply asked for a split sheet. Oh yeah, this is your share, and everybody is happy. So you see that even before release, with a good lawyer, you have solved the problem. Then you finish the recording, you finish production and everything. You take to a distributor as an independent artist. The distributor tells you, okay, you know what, this song is good. We are going to put $10,000 into this song to promote. The $10,000 is recoupable. So we are going to be sending reports to you every three months. Now you put your song there, invest money in it and do everything. And then for 2 years, they do not send reports. But because you are satisfied that your song is there, but you are not seeing anything.
Oh, girl.
So you don't know whether they are recouping their money or not. But if you had a good lawyer, a lawyer would follow up and then tell them, okay, this $10,000, how are you spending it? Give us a breakdown. This three months you're saying, we expect the reports. So with a lawyer, you can follow up. After 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, you don't see your this thing, they have breached the contract. So with your lawyer, you can go and sue them. So you see that every step of the way, you need a lawyer that will help you resolve issues. Otherwise, you are just going to be working and get nothing from it. So that's why I say, first step, lawyer. Second step, lawyer. Every other thing will come naturally.
Okay.
That is all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael. So, in closing, what's your final comment with regards to everything we've talked about today? Wise words from an elder that has been in the industry.
Okay, so my last words would be that whatever you do in life, just be consistent, be steadfast. If you believe in your goal, just continue pursuing your goal because nobody will do it for you. It's you that will pursue your goal. Your mother and father have done their part by bringing you to the world, by giving you education. Now, how you want to take that part and run with is your own side of it. So be consistent, be steadfast, especially in the entertainment industry. Like I said, as someone, I have been in the business of entertainment for over 30 years, and I've been in the music space for like 20 years. So you see, accumulatively, the years of experience I've had in the industry. I didn't just start today. There was a time I used to trek from Shomolu, anybody that understands Lagos very well. I used to trek from Shomolu down to National Theatre just for rehearsals. It was passion for me. It was commitment. It wasn't about the money for me. I had made a lot of sacrifices to get to where I am. So please, nothing is magical about the industry. You have to put in your dues. You have to put in your time, your efforts to be able to get the kind of results you want to. It's not magic. So I say continue being steadfast. Consistency is the game, and embrace innovativeness and creativity. That also will take you far. Do not limit yourself. Do not restrict yourself to only what you know. Get learnings from others. You never might know what would help you in life. So let's just continue to be steadfast in life. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael. I've really learned a lot, and it's interesting to see that the future is bright for people like us that are going to also get the experience like you.
Sure, sure,
I
sure,
really appreciate you
sure. It's very bright.
I appreciate you coming on here to share your journey with us. I hope you had a good time because I did. So
Yeah, thank you very much. It's nice being here. It was quite nice having a great conversation with you.
thank you so much. Thank you, baby. Thank you for listening to IP Series Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to share it with your friends, family, and colleagues. You can also follow us on Instagram at IP Series with Esmeraldo ESQ or Twitter at IP Series 1 or send us an email to ipseriesinfo@gmail.com. Until next time, stay tuned and stay informed.